Education officer of the IDF, General Elisha.
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Mrs. Goldberger.
Hi.
Her father was a volunteer in the Machal.
Okay.
Eli is a friend. He's the chief education officer of the IDF. Has brought the IDF in the last few years to Beit התפוצות. Really, a major transformation.
That's great. Yeah.
Mr. Goldberger is with the American Embassy, the Deputy Chief of Mission, and we're honored.
We're delighted.
Yeah, on the family, in fact, we're really honored because you're here and thank you for coming. No offense.
No.
Did you meet Smoky Salmon? Yes. Yeah? Thanks very much. חכה, אני אשים משקפיים. תודה רבה. You know the British ambassador?
Hi.
Nathan Ben-Eliyahu, former chief of the Air Force.
Right, of course.
The British ambassador, Mr. Gould.
I am former, but not from that time. Not so
Right,
old.
okay. No, I was going to say it would be impressive if you were
later.
one of
And
these.
Brigadier General Eli Schermeister, also in Air Force, he is the Chief Education Officer of the IDF,
Okay.
a serious partner of בית התפוצות. איתן!
So there's
אתה
a
נראה
number of British
לי
pilots.
בסדר, חזק וגיבור,
Well, that guy's, it's an important exhibition for us.
The whole infrastructure of Israel Air Force is based on a lot of heritage of
Yeah.
the RAF.
No, I'm struck when I see the IDF how much clearly has been brought over from the mandate days
lot.
and the British time.
lot.
And I mean, for me, it's
Speaker of the House.
it's one of the nice things that's happened.
ברוך הבא. אתה כאן, מה חשוב?
ברבע לארבע יצא.
לא חשוב. ברוך הבא.
קפטן יופי. שלום. אני אסדר. אוקיי. אני אסדיר את הכל. לא, הכל מסודר.
בסדר?
הכל בסדר.
אתה מכיר את שגריר בריטניה, מר גולד, מיסטר גולד?
Mr. Speaker, pleasure. Very good. Very good.
קצין
It's not
חינוך
only a
ראשי.
pleasure for me, it's an honor.
Oh well, more for me.
The
Thank you.
representative of the Queen, what do you mean? שלום, שלום, תודה רבה.
This exhibit really comes to pay tribute to the fantastic volunteered from 58 countries around the world. They were young, they weren't sure maybe sometimes, as they say in the movie here, what they're coming to and what they're going to find here. But when they came here, they and Israel together used their professional knowledge to build Tzahal and to build the IDF. And we see that they were in the medical corps and they were in Aliyah Bet, who brought the illegal immigrants to Israel, which afterwards became the Israeli Navy. They were in the field corps. They absolutely were in the Air Force, and most of them were in the Air Force. And
first of all in the Air Force, and most important in the Air Force.
Because the Air Force are spoiled. Better food, better drink.
I brought some.
Not
I brought original art also to give a little bit of color, not just to show the black and white way of depiction. And we have Nachum Gutman here that was a artist attached to the army at the time, and these are the machaniks that he drew very quickly, very fast with a spontaneous line. Other memorabilia from the time, and these are models of plane that Asherot happens to be right here, and he assembled them, and these are the planes that the Machalniks, exactly the planes that the Machalniks sometimes had to put together, had to reassemble, had to in all sorts of ways bring here to Israel, because we did not have enough or at all planes for the war.
Let's go.
Mr. Speaker, have you met one of the British volunteers?
One of our volunteers.
Exactly.
I was a little bit younger at the time.
Oh, but wait.
But we
Even
were
though he's
here.
a couple of
I was
years
8
older.
years old when you came to save us and to help us.
But Moshe Rivlin,
Moshe
I
is
knew
my
him.
cousin.
Was it your father or grandfather?
No, he was not my father. He was a cousin of my father.
You know what they said about the Rivlins at that time? Because there's three dynasties in this country. The Ashkenazis, the Sephardic,
And the Rivlins.
And the Rivlins.
We came from 45 countries. We came from the wealthy lands of the earth. We came from the death camps of Nazi Europe. We were called Machal, an acronym, Mitnavei Chutz La'aretz, warriors from outside the land. But inside, we were our brother's keepers.
My generation will never forget what you have done. You gave us not only your experience, but your life. The people of Israel, the state of Israel, will never forget it. And for that, thank you. Thank you very much.
Wolf Davidkin, tykkimies, raskaan tykistön tykkimies.
Meri Davidkin, mä olin laskuvarjopakkaaja myöhemmässä vaiheessa.
The war was over. I was working in a record store. I get a strange phone call one morning. It says, Paul Kamenetsky. I said, yes. We would like to know if you'd like to help your people be on the corner of 39th Street and Lexington Avenue Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And a man with a black leather jacket will walk by. If he puts a newspaper under his arm, follow him. If he puts it in the wastepaper basket there, walk away because you're being followed.
One day in synagogue, some guy who was a great Zionist tells me they're looking for people with training, merchant marine training, seagoing people, to help do something in Europe to get the Jews out of the DP camps, displaced persons camps.
Ja silloin kerättiin nimejä. Tämä oli arka asia. Tästä puhuttiin kovin vähän. Tämähän on, kuten me kaikki tiedämme, Suomen vastaan. Ja salaa.
I said, Mom, I've got to go away for 6 months and I can't tell you where I'm going. And finally I told her what it was about to do. And her reaction was, why does my son have to do it? Why doesn't somebody else's son do it?
Mutta minusta tuntuu, että meidän vanhemmat pelkäs paljon enemmän kuin me. Me ei oikein niin kuin osattu.
I realized that this is the first time in 2,000 years that the Jews can have a state of their own. And I was worried that if we failed to have a state, it wouldn't be worth a nickel to be a Jew anywhere in the world.
I came in October 1947. And I had no way of knowing that what I would find during that year, and it turned out to be a year that changed my whole life.
We were young fellows, and maybe we didn't understand the situation fully, but we were sort of carefree and happy-go-lucky in a sense.
Ihan juuri menneet naimisiinkin, niin ajateltiin, että olkoon se sitten meidän häämatkamme. Ja sinne me jouduttiin, ja kun sitten erottiin Tel Avivissa, niin minut vietiin ilmavoimien leirille Telitvinskiin.
This current of wanting to help the Jewish state, this new fledgling Jewish state, went through like a wildfire.
We arrived on the 9th of May. We signed on at Serona, which is now the Kiryat, on the 10th of May. And the first activity that we were involved with was at the Tel Aviv airport, Sder Dov as it's known at present.
When I got out of the bus in Tel Aviv and it was night and I looked around and I saw people, I said, they're all Jewish. Everybody around me, I've never had that in my life. They're all Jewish, everybody.
They took us off the boat and I went straight into the army. I went to Kiryat Meah, and that same morning I was put in the army, and that same evening I was sent to the Central Front.
The squadron then was 101 Squadron, which operated from Tel Aviv airport. That was before we had any fighter aircraft. At that time we were bomb chucker outers, and we carried the bombs on our laps, and we had to pull the pins whilst you were in this rickety aircraft which was wobbling all over the place.
Had 35 men. We had no uniforms whatsoever. We had our clothes, we came in, and we started training.
The staff would attend to whatever had to be done. The difference in rank was non-existent.
The mere presence of foreign volunteers raised the morale of the Israeli troops, that they were not alone.
We put lifeboats over the side and with long hawsers, which is a rope, and they pulled these boats back and forth with people from the shore, and this is the first time I met my people. What I saw was my mother, my aunt, my uncle, my people who had gone through difficult time, and each one of them, as they climbed up the ladder and came over the side, these were the first time I saw DPs, displaced persons. Each one hugged you as they came over, and they said to us, Israel, we're going to Israel, to our promised land.
I was really lucky that I happened to have been born in the United States and brought up in the United States, because my parents could have just as well met in Europe and gotten married there. I could have been climbing the ladder that night.
We had a song, and this came from a South African song, and we loved this song, and wherever we went, we used to sing it. And it was called this. Hi ziggy zumba zumba zumba, hi ziggy zumba zumba, hey! Hi ziggy zumba zumba zumba, hi ziggy zumba zumba, hey! Hold him down, you Zulu warrior, hold him down, you Zulu chief, 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 chief. And all the boys used to sing that song.
If it had not been for American pilots, South African and English pilots, and possibly Canadian pilots, Jews and Gentiles who volunteered in 1948 to help us, there would not be a state of Israel today. We would not be on the map.
Without the Air Force, mostly in the hands of foreign volunteers, we would never have survived the War of Independence.
I loved them all. Everybody in my platoon was a Jewish soldier.
Ein Brera. You know what that means? No option.
Ein Brera, because no option. No alternative. No alternative. No alternative.
No alternative.
There will never be another moment in our lives greater than our being there in 1948.